This conference will now be recorded.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
Started
thank
at
you.
1:18 p.m. I did the opening prayer, Sister Trap, and on our roll call, again, Deacon James, Deacon Jordan,
Good afternoon.
good afternoon, Sister Trap, and myself. And Sister Miller I know she's in our office, probably be joining us soon. And the agenda review, you were sent the agendas. I just go ahead and put it on the screen at this point and remind me to get the minutes done. Open issues is the key management, which is really the access control system, is probably going to take the bulk of that. I know there's an update on the door locking component, the live stream cameras, noonday Bible study, Zoom versus GoToMeeting, technology plans, a parking lot. This is just a parking lot. And in terms of new business, Universal Church Directory, there's some concerns and there's some company offerings from the photo shoots. Talk about our Canon copier, a scanner for the pastor, printer for the treasurer, and view the numbers, the viewing numbers rather, for YouTube and Facebook for the past 36 months, and surgery coming up for myself. Um, and our next meeting will be July 12th, 2023. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
Yeah,
Anything?
Rev, can you add church sign update to this list?
Okay, let me just go ahead and put that up front. Okay, got that in there. Anything else? Okay, seeing the agenda, is there a motion to approve or adopt?
So move.
Deacon Jordan, is there support?
I support.
Support by Sister Trap. All those in favor of the agenda, sign on by sign aye, but sign a by.
Aye.
Okay, those who oppose the agenda are the same. And the agenda is adopted. Okay, the minutes from the May meeting. You all have the minutes in your possessions. Let me see if I can bring them up real quick. I think I'm going to have to stop sharing. Is no, that's I'm still sharing the. Hold on.
I don't know whether you heard me or not, but I did approve the agenda.
Oh,
Vote
okay.
to
No, I sure
approve it.
did. Thank you.
Yeah.
I am looking for the. I got the minutes on my screen, but I don't see them in my list of things to share. Well,
Sister Trap sent them out last night.
she sent them out last night. You all
Yeah,
saw them. Okay.
Yeah, we
yeah,
got them.
Okay. Great. Great.
yeah. I moved that we adopt the or accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Amen. It's been moved and properly second that we adopt or accept the minutes as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Amen. Okay, I'm not sure where that came from. Okay. They have been adopted and we will move forward. Am I sharing my screen at this point? Okay, now I am.
Yeah.
Okay, consideration of open issues, church sign update. Deacon George, the floor is yours.
Oh, okay. Actually, I'm going to talk a little bit about it, but also, Pastor, I would hope that you would chime in because there's an update that we met that I guess Pastor and Sister Williams and Brother Layton, I believe, met with the city manager about the sign, the messaging sign. It's my understanding that basically they took a hard position, basically no, saying no messaging signs within the city limits. Again, I wasn't at that meeting, but they did allow me to ask some follow-up questions. And I said the city manager, but city planner. I think she was the planner. Am I right, Rev? Pastor, was it the planner? City planner. Okay,
Yes, city planner.
yeah. So it did provoke some follow-up questions that I sent to her, and she did respond to them, which then prompted some more questions, some other follow-up questions that I have. So she did offer to have a face-to-face meeting with me if I needed to. So she's out of town right now, but I took her up on that offer because there are some concerns that I have about this ordinance in and of itself, where they just prohibit signs, messaging signs altogether. Any ordinance that the city invokes must, at a minimum, have the public serve the public interest. So they need to state what the public interest is here in them prohibiting these messaging signs. So they don't have that written anywhere. These signs were allowed before, as you know, Seventh Day Adventist, and also Messiah's Temple has these messaging signs. And used to be a school on Michigan Ave down by the Dairy Queen. They had the messaging sign less than a block from City Hall. I think it's a development type of place now. I'm not really sure exactly what it is, but those messaging signs were allowed. So what should have happened, and I can't find it anywhere, and I wanted to talk to her about it, is show where this was changed and why it was changed. If they can't do that, then constitutionally they're wrong. So I'm just going to have a further discussion with them before we, totally give up on this. But in the meantime, I have reached out to Johnson Signs, and they are putting together some renderings of static type signs that where the top may be backlit, which is allowed. It would be illuminated sign with maybe just our website, church name and website on it, things like that. So Johnson Signs is working on that as I continue to talk with the city planner about the impetus of this prohibition against messaging signs. Any questions? Pastor, chime in if I missed anything, please.
I don't think you missed anything at all. They just don't want it, and their rationale that MDOT does not allow it does not hold up, because when you go down to the on-ramp at Michigan Avenue, at Hamilton and Huron, there's a lit messaging sign right there on I-94. So I think that it's just that the city doesn't want it. These particular folks don't want it. But if we lose the messaging sign, what I'm going to go for is a monument sign that's lit, uplit brick facade that matches the building, to block that corner, because we have already had additional incidences with traffic situations and the building. We haven't had another accident yet, but Sister Miller and I were out there talking about where the sign was and where it should have gone, and looking at the ground. And as we were walking back in the building, there was nearly another accident right there. I also noticed that they did not they're putting the bike lane sign in, and the crosswalk that was supposed to be at Catherine and Hamilton is now, since we last met with them, there's been some progress on that getting done. But if they're refusing to allow us to have the messaging sign, I think we need to have Plan B ready to go. It's just to me it's ridiculous, but we've got some other options that I think we can explore if we lose this piece of the fight. She did say that she was willing to work with us to help us figure out what kind of sign would best work for our location, as well as getting lighted bollards. And that was something that was that they flat out refused to do before, was to allow us to put bollards in the right of way to protect the building. So we may have some progress on that.
Just to follow up on what Pastor said, right, MDOT is actually, MDOT defers to the local municipality on these types of ordinances. So, and MDOT is basically silent on signs that are not, specific to trunk lines or highways. They don't go into cities and say you can't have, certain signs throughout a city. That's not their wheelhouse. So to say that MDOT is not allowing it doesn't hold up, and they know that. And there is no language in the MDOT guidelines that even speak to that at all. So again, that's just kind of the conversation I want to have with her, because they're just making a blanket no, and that just seems a little hard to me. And in full disclosure, in my past life, I used to be the city of Ypsilanti's ordinance officer, so I do know that you have to have justification. So I'm just putting my old hat back on. All right, that's it.
Question. And I know we've talked about this before. In light of what you just stated, Deacon Jordan, is the corner of Catherine and Hamilton the only location we can consider for this messaging sign? Is there any place else on the property the sign would be approved or have better chances to be approved? And maybe it can be larger if it was further back off of the street, maybe out toward the middle of the parking lot on Buffalo. And we could angle it where the traffic would get some visibility.
That they can regulate the size of a sign for whatever their rationale is for that. That still needs to be stated. But no, that discussion hasn't come up as to where we might be able to locate a sign. I can certainly put that in my questions when I follow up with her and I have my face to face with her about when we go over ideas about what sign might work. And Pastor, by the way, if you have any images, renderings of the sign that you have in mind, if you could send those to me, I would appreciate it. And I can get them over to Johnson Sign so we can get an official drawing that we may be able to I may be able to share with her when I meet with her.
I'll look for that. We had some examples from a while back, but the website that she sent us to,
Yeah.
had those same signs on it.
Okay. I got that link. Okay. Yep. I have that link.
That's where I got it from before. So.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
One question for
Can I follow up real quick on this? I don't want to get ahead of any decision that the church has made in terms of location. That's why I posed that as a question, as whether or not we internally would consider a different location.
Well, again, that hasn't been part of the conversation. Just because we've always had to sign at that location, so we just never entertained that. However, I mean, it's certainly a question that could be asked if that would be an issue because it's on that corner. So would we be allowed to move it and then do what we need to do? I think Deacon James, you had a question too.
Yeah, I had a question. Is the city inferring that MDOT has something to do in their procedures that won't allow messaging signs? Or is this just the city's position?
Well, in her answer to me, she deferred to MDOT's guidelines, but
Right.
also in her answer, she said the local ordinance and traffic safety has the local ordinance and traffic safety has the final say. So that means the city has the final say on what ordinance or that they put in place. MDOT does not usurp the city's authority to uh, enforce ordinances in their local municipality. Again, unless there's something unconstitutional, then then the Michigan Municipal League might get involved and so forth and so on. But there are some issues here. So, for example, if they were saying that you can't have a sign that says blah blah blah, okay, so now
Hmm. Hmm.
you're definitely infringing on someone's constitutional right. So the ordinance in itself has to be
Specific.
content neutral, is what they call it. So it can't. So your ordinance can't say you can't have a sign that says this, but you may have ordinance that says you can't have a sign. But again, you have to say what the public
Right.
interest is. What are you trying to accomplish by allowing these signs or not having the signs? And they're silent on that. So, um,
And
but
especially
yes,
after precedence has already been set.
yes, exactly. So when you changed your mind about having messaging signs, what was the rationale?
Yeah.
And they need to document that somewhere so that it's clear.
Rev, you're still muted.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry about that. Any other updates on the church signs or any other thoughts, questions before we move forward? Okay. Uh, Key management, door locking, access control. And I'll just have Sister Trap and Deacon Jordan open up their mics and share with us any updates or anyone.
We were having an issue with pastor's door going on and offline. Sister Trap and I were doing some preliminary troubleshooting to try to figure out what was going on. Um, I was suspecting that it was a scheduling issue, but or a rules issue. Um, but I believe Sister Trap, you reached out to the support team, and they said it was our network that was causing it.
Yes, that's correct. When I called, they also thought it was conflict with the scheduler. So we updated the scheduler. He rebooted the server or whatever, but then nothing helped. Every day we kept getting those offline and online for a couple of seconds. So he
Mhm.
said our network is not communicating with the cloud server, and he was suggesting that something must have changed on our end that caused that. So I know Reverend Jones, I let him know he was going to check on some things, but it's still happening. So the first time I saw it was on 531, and it was just the pastor's door. And then every
Mhm.
day after that, it was every door, all four doors going offline for just about 10 seconds and then coming back online.
We had that same problem during Bible study today where it was like the network or something was dropping out for a second and then coming back, and then it dropped out again. So Rev and I were talking about this yesterday or the day before. My days are running together. Um, but I don't know if you noticed, and I couldn't tell if on you all's end while you were watching and participating in Bible study, if you saw that happening. But on my end, I kept getting messages that flashed on the screen that said you seem to be disconnected from the network. So I don't know on Rev, on you all's end, was there that freezing happening or no?
No, sure wasn't. And remember, I'm over here, right? I'm plugged directly into the Comcast modem with my system. Um,
Right.
at least
But
one
I'm saying
state.
from
No, I didn't see
from
any of those issues.
for me on my end. So you didn't see. I appeared everything was fine from what you could see, correct?
Right, right, right.
Mm.
Uh,
Oh,
and looking, I don't know if you can see the screen now. I do have the 3X Logic. I'm tapped into the ACS system, and we can see there's some online, offline statuses. Yesterday, um, the Catherine Door says online here at was that 7? What is that's 9:28 p.m. The pastor's door went offline at 9:30 and did not come back online before it went offline again. Um, these online, offline event triggers does not appear to be preventing any of the security functions from happening. It's difficult to know when to test a door. I mean, if somebody can get out there, you only have 5 seconds to get out there and test to see if it works, but you got to know when it happens. And even if you were watching the event viewer and you can see it go offline, you don't have enough time to get to the door to see if it's still working. What I did as a test the other day, I took the door offline. I just disconnected the cable from the ACS for that door, the parking lot door, and I it went into an offline state, and I was still able to use my card, I mean my key fob. So it doesn't prevent the door from operating. I don't know what it'll do with the scheduler because that's we don't really use schedules around here. And these momentary things they have actually been happening since we've had the system. There is no other system in the church that is going down. We have two different um, switches in place, one in the balcony for the sanctuary door and for the Catherine door, and then one in the computer room that has the pastor's door and the parking lot door attached to it. Why both of them would be having the same problem? It's probably not those devices. Uh, it's there's something else going on here. Yesterday, as Sister Trapper indicated, I took a third um, switch, which was provided by Stanley, and put it in, and it's currently in now in the computer room. So the pastor's door and the parking lot door are plugged into it, and we're still getting the same issue. So that kind of rules out that local hardware. I also have a category 10 cable on it, which is the latest technology in terms of cable that's plugged into a switch over there that has a category 6 switch, I mean, cable that plugs in. I know it's a little technical, that plugs in over here in my office. So, in terms of cabling and devices, that stuff is solid. As another indicator, I also watch our radios through the cloud, the wireless IPSC radios. And when they go offline, I know we will have some problems. But I have seen none of those go offline, lately. Pastor, over this past a couple weekends ago, your switch was engulfed in water from that air conditioner leaking, and Brother Gore cleaned that up. That might be an area of concern, but since all your other devices are working, uh, sort of ruling that out as well. Again, these things, these little online offlines are not, you know, causing any problem. Uh, and I just curious as to what other companies are experiencing in terms of this stuff here, whether their systems are going on and offline as well. Uh, I, you know, and it may not be something that registers on Comcast because it's just not happening long enough. If it was an hour, if it was staying off for a half hour, an hour, then maybe it'll register in Comcast. But a few seconds, especially times when we're not here, I'm not sure. Did I?
So
Okay.
it doesn't appear to
Interrupt anything.
unlock the door and it does not
Right.
interrupt anything. Is that right?
Right. Not from what I can tell. Even when I unplug them, this is, these are monitoring. Uh, this allows this software to monitor the doors, how the door functions, and what it's supposed to do. I think it can do it without that cable connected to the system. It allows us to see and manage the door. What I didn't try to do while I had it disconnected was try to remotely lock it or unlock it. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that part of it needs this cable plugged in. But for us the key fob, it worked.
Hey,
While
Rev,
I,
I
uh-huh.
think that's probably something we probably need to do is just test that and see if we have the capability of locking it remotely. Because if it's offline and we, God forbid, we have an incident and we need to do a remote lock, if it's offline and it doesn't respond, then we're vulnerable. So I think we need to test that theory of whether it's we're able to control it when it's offline.
Okay, I'll do that after the meeting.
Yeah. If you need me, I'll be happy to help.
Okay. In fact, I think, at least two of us should do it so that, we'll have, we'll both know that it works or don't work. And then too, I can refer to the documentation to see what the different pieces are supposed to be to do within the system. Whether if we didn't have uh, the network access at all, what does that mean? For the system
Right.
other than monitoring. Okay, let me get out of
Let-
here.
Can I ask a question before we leave this
Sure.
door? This is not directly about the access control, but um, my concern is our security. Is do we now have new keys for the parking lot door and the admin door? Has those locks been changed? Because if not, we purposely did not go through the trouble of trying to get all the keys returned from everybody. But then because we were going to change those locks. So we're defeating the purpose if we haven't changed those locks. Uh, we're still vulnerable to those old keys being able to access the building. So I'm just curious as to what's the status on that. I guess that would be a trustee question.
Yeah, but Deacon Jordan, when your mom and I were passing out the fobs and the key cards, she wasn't giving out the fobs or key cards until we received the keys back. So she took that stance unless she changed it. But she was actually she didn't give out the cards or the fobs until she got the other keys, even though she knew we were going to change the locks on the doors.
And I
So,
do
so
know that they did have the locksmith come out and they did meet with the locksmith to get those keys changed.
okay.
I spoke with Sister Jordan this past Saturday while we were just sitting waiting for families to come in, and she indicated that someone had told her that the locksmith, the person that was supposed to change the lock, had taken ill and couldn't get out, and she was very close to making a decision just to contacting Crawford Doors to change the lock. So at this point, they have not been changed, and they were supposed to be changed because there are people that still have physical keys that are not turning them in, or those persons may no longer be here, but we don't know where those keys are really at. And so to to really secure it, we need to change those locks so that we know there's no access from the old keys.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
another question, Deacon Jordan, I'm going to just go ahead and ask this one: is in terms of programming the cards and key fobs, are the whole lot that we received, even though they're not assigned to anyone, Have they all been programmed?
No, they have not. If they're not assigned to anybody, they're not activated.
Okay, okay,
They're just still in the box. And Sister Jordan will text me, let me know when she assigned a card, and then I'll go in and activate it. She's letting them know it may take 24 hours because she may give it to them while I'm at work. And then when I get home, I'll activate the card.
great, great. There was some concerns about the safe room's door not operating properly. She came in on a Sunday and noticed that the door was not closed all the way. So if those keys fobs were programmed, they could get in the wrong hands. And oh, even though we could always go in the system and deactivate them, but
Yeah, if you go into that 3X Logic like you were before, you'll
sure.
see all the active keys and they're assigned to people and they have them. So there are no blank ones out there just being, just being activated until we give them out. It's just assigned to actual people that have the keys. And a lot of people are switching from the cards to the fobs now.
Yeah, we knew that would be popular.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I can see. Yeah, Brother Witherspoon, he's the last person in the system. And I don't see any one that doesn't have a photo. Yeah, this is the super admin account. I did not want to have the access to the system attached to my card account.
Mhm.
Although there's nothing wrong with it, I just, if somebody else needed it, then they wouldn't have my card. They wouldn't have my key fob attached to
Right.
it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is all right. Great.
Quick
And
question: how many? And I said I told myself not to ask any questions during this meeting because I told Reverend Jones I'm so tired. But people have returned the cards and got fobs. Is that the preference?
Yes, yes. We started off giving everybody fobs, and then eventually people learned about well, we started off giving cards, and people learned about the fobs, and everybody's bringing their cards back. But you can see on the screen if the numbers are 36, they have a fob. If the numbers start with 221, they have a card. So, but slowly, like maybe once a week, Sister Jordan is texting me saying, she switched the card to the fob. So most people will end up with a fob.
those fobs are about $12 and something each. Deacon Jordan, Sister Trap,
Yes. Yeah. 12.50
Yeah.
a piece.
and the cards are what, $4 and something.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we love our people, and
Big cost difference.
yeah.
Hopefully we'll come up with some kind of replacement policy that requires those that lose their keys who are being careless with their fobs to pay for that replacement.
Well, I would say just if you have a fob and you lose it, you get a key. I mean, you get a card.
Right, you can get a car. But if you want another fob, you should have to pay for it. Uh, but I'll stay in my lane.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just okay. Let me get out of here and go back to the agenda.
As the only person who we know has lost one, I support such policy.
Oh, well, that being said, all is well. The pastor says so. All right, get back to the agenda. All right, live stream camera. I sent here updates on request of trustees. In the last meeting, I was supposed to have presented the $4,200 cost to the trustees. I did not do that, so just wanted to update you all, let you know that I didn't do that, and I will do a little bit more research and then present this to the trustees. Now they're July 10th meeting, if they still have it on July 10th. When is the semi-annual meeting? Sister Child Pastor, Sister Miller?
It is that day, but we might have to move it. We're working on things with this some of the other deals that we have happening. And in fact, when we get off this meeting, I need to talk to Sister Miller about it.
Okay. Okay. Then I may present it to them, in email form before that. Let's see here.
Is that
Go.
one camera or two?
There's going to be two additional cameras.
Two equals 4,200. Is that right?
Correct. And we're still struggling a little bit with connectivity, whether we're going to go wireless or whether we're going to have to run wire. I would prefer wire because it, prevents interference and dropouts. But we've had a wireless camera in there before, one on a tripod, and the camera was actually on the stage where the piano is, and it had no problem, getting signal to the balcony for that camera, or from that camera. But again, anything wireless, there's a frequency, component to it, and so it could be interfered with. So that's why I want to go wire. But then to put the wire in place, we'd have to get up there and run the wire. Um, but anyway, we'll make sure we have some cost information on that. Noon Bible study hybrid. Any updates?
Yeah, I want to. Well, we had a poll based on Bible study results, and I'm sorry, y'all, I was moving around a little bit. I couldn't see, and I'm trying to clean up these glasses. The poll suggested that people really liked the format that we used last week for Bible study. We got a lot of positive feedback on assigning questions and having people interact more. But I do want to keep praying through going hybrid for Bible study. And here's why. And I've been talking to some other pastors around our state, and we all have discovered the same thing, and that is that we had greater participation by being online. So we're going to keep working on, if we make a hybrid option, what that looks like. But people are really taking to the groups now.
Yeah.
And meeting. And so the original plan before COVID of having people meet in small groups in homes is actually starting to happen.
Mhm.
And so I don't want to kill that by demanding people come to the church. So we'll keep working on that. But I do think it would be helpful as we have other meetings like deacon meeting, trustee meeting, other ministry meetings, to have the owl available for hybrid situations. And it was great when we've used it, especially like for our annual meeting and for leadership. It's been great for those things for sure.
Pastor, I know that the trustees have been meeting in the computer room. Are the deacons also meeting in that same area? If
The
they are,
deacons have,
okay, then I
but
can set it up beforehand.
yeah, and we probably need to have it set up. But that's something we're working on.
Okay.
And I'm going to meet with Brother Layden and Deacon Reeves on the 1st. We have a meeting scheduled to talk about some of that.
Okay. Pastor, just to highlight this, we are actually hybrid now because Brother Murphy, Deacon George Wilson, and Chandler are local in their group. They're just not here at the
Yes.
church.
Yes.
So, I mean, in a sense, that's a hybrid. That's the same thing.
Absolutely. And
They have
that
right.
yeah. And that was the point that I was making, that them getting together in person, in fellowship with one another before and after the meeting, that was kind of the goal for Bible study before we even were online. with Bible study in the way that we are now. So that was, that camaraderie and
Right.
fellowship was part of the goal. So, yeah.
Okay. Zoom versus GoTo. We talked about it last month. The Zoom, we have one Zoom license for $150 a year. In order to get more, we have to go from one license to 10 licenses. And so that would be much more than we could afford, that we need to afford. They don't have an in between. We could do another individual license under another ID, you know. I think we could do it at the same address. I'm sure we can, you know.
Let me ask a question.
Uh-huh.
How often do we need to have multiple ministry meetings or events happening online? How often do we run into that?
Multiples. The only time I've seen that there would be a possible chance of that would be when you were meeting with the state um, education department element. And if it's on a Wednesday, when Wednesday Night Live was meeting on Zoom, GoTo we have 8 licenses, so it's not a big an issue there. And we would have some of our groups, study groups, are meeting on GoTo, and without a problem. Uh, it's not that often that it happens, but um, you know, Zoom is the only one because it's a lot simpler to use Zoom than it is to use GoTo. It seems.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about Bible study today,
Hmm.
um, and then the issues that you and I, as presenters, are seeing, trying to see the people and the message that we're presenting at the same time, having to switch back and forth.
Yeah.
Um, I don't, if, GoTo doesn't cost us anything, I don't believe. Is that correct? Because of the phone system.
Right.
Um, but I would like us to look into switching Bible study potentially to Zoom. We could just use the same idea we already have,
Correct.
because I think it might be easier for people, and it would certainly be easier as the presenter, because trying to use GoTo is a booger now that they've done these updates.
You say the new version. Okay. Um, Sunday school, of course, or church school uses Zoom, and there are no issues there. Of course, GoTo have breakout rooms as well. Um, I say yes. I'm gonna take this system. I'm just gonna take this one. Give me just a moment. I'm gonna mute myself. Y'all carry on.
Did I hear Reverend Jones say GoTo now has breakout rooms in their platform? Because I know they didn't
They,
before.
well, there's a possibility of getting it. I don't know that we've been using it. Um,
Because they
um,
didn't offer it on their platform before.
no,
I
they
know
didn't, but I know that,
they've done some
yeah,
updates, right?
they have. And
Okay.
some of the updates are helpful. Being able to mute all on the prayer call and those kind of things have been helpful. We've learned how to use that. But Zoom works better when you're presenting. That's the
Okay.
whole issue. Zoom works
Okay.
better when you're presenting because of the last update that GoTo did. When you're trying to present, when you share your screen, it hides you and then you have to flip the screen and show you. So if you're
Uh,
going back and forth between your presentation and trying to see the people while you're sharing your screen and interacting with your screen, you don't see the people unless you click this beta option that doesn't work that well because you lose pieces of the screen. And so you're constantly trying to manipulate the interface while you're sharing your screen with people. and it's problematic. Zoom is more static. You see all the people, and the view that we see right now, since Reverend Jones started sharing his screen, is what you see similarly as a presenter on Zoom, and you can change it, but everything stays on one screen.
Oh, okay.
So
Have
that's
we
why I was bringing.
have we ever considered Teams? I know the state uses Teams um, religiously, but it's not a good platform, huh? All right, say no more.
I'm on the board for another nonprofit that was using Teams, and we had so many problems with Teams that they switched to Zoom.
Like,
Oh, okay.
and plus, our people, some of them are senior saints, and we're doing real good to get them on GoTo. And because we've been using it for so long, they're comfortable with it.
I just brought it up because it's free under our package that we have as nonprofit. So, you know, I didn't know what it would do.
So
All
I've
right.
been trying to share my GoToMeeting screen, but it's not allowing me to share that screen. So let me go back to the agenda. Just a moment to pull it up. Okay. The next item is technology plans. Item number item 6, technology plans for church. This is a parking lot list. Do I need to make it a little bigger? Okay, let me go a little smaller. Okay. Again, this is not an all-inclusive list. This is just a list some items that this is from our September 2022 agenda. And these are areas of technology that I think we need to develop plans for. Live stream. But in terms of these, Sister Trap, you had it in the minutes, several questions to be really answered and looked at. What is the technology? Where's the technology going? Where are we currently in terms of our maturity with the technology? Um, and what can we reasonably afford? Like for example, large screens. Is it time to get away from, or when we want to upgrade, do we go to large screen televisions as opposed to projectors? You know, um, and that's something to consider. You don't have the issues with the lighting with television as you do with the large screen projectors. Uh, Television TVs here has to do with our internal TVs. But anyway, TVs, announcement
Yeah.
monitor. Yes, sir.
Could I say something about that real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
Because, and I'm not sure, Sister Trap, I don't think you were on the last trustee meeting. I think you were otherwise engaged. But one of the issues that we do know is that when we are looking into the AC system of the church, where those screens were placed, reduced the output of the AC, and they should have relocated those different or located those differently. So when we, with the people who are going to spec out the new system, we may have to move some of that stuff around to accommodate whatever new thing comes in. So I do think it's wise for us to see what's the next evolution in that system for us, and if necessary, build that into the overall plan for AC, roof, all the
Sure.
work that we're going to have to do. Sister Trap, if you can keep that in your mind as a trustee or in your notes, that as we look at that, we need to take into account the screens as we look at reconfiguring, or if we have to reconfigure, what does that look like? That was one of the things that talking to Brother Gore and some of the AC people pointed out, is that those openings were larger before. And so to efficiently cool the building, we may have to reconfigure how those vents work.
I know they moved them up above the screens. I didn't.
But they cut them and they have the sizes when they did that. So they should have been twice as tall as they are. And they didn't make the opening big enough. Because they should have been the same size as the ones in the back. And why that was done, I have no clue. But we may have to move some of that duct work based on whatever new systems we get in. But we won't know that for a minute. But if we have to do that, that then does give us an opportunity to explore what's the new option, because those projectors are not going to last forever.
Yeah, those are 6 feet by 8 feet. You're probably not going to find a television that large. If you do, you're going to pay a lot more for it than. So I don't think you need that size of screen for a person sitting in the back to see clearly. Because as we see in the fellowship hall, this is a 60-inch TV. You can sit anywhere in the fellowship hall and see that thing very clearly. In fact, you can almost see your laptop from anywhere in the fellowship hall, clearly. And that's, you're talking about a 13 to 16-inch screen. If there's a movie or something, you won't be able to read text, but yeah.
So we may just need to long-term evaluate that.
And that's one piece is there that's going to be part of the plan, is long-term outlook and that kind of thing. And again, these are all areas: security systems, our ACS, our cameras, locks, surveillance systems, the ADT Pulse system, or True Security password management. We look at sanctuary lighting, computer and printer systems, desktop, laptops, mobile, postage, fax scanning printers, copiers, file management, network systems, event photography systems, and also event registration. Because we're doing some of that now with the picnic registering, and then for the scholarship banquet, we want to be able to have those systems in place and utilize those systems that, certainly in those. To put the scholarship banquet, to use our app, we would have to use what's called, help me out, Deacon Jordan, Subsplash One. We have to upgrade, and then we would lose that discount that we have 30% discount that we're getting right now if we did do that upgrade. And to do that upgrade just for one event is not feasible, so.
Rev, it depends on if we're charging. If we're not charging, it's still free to us. We can do it within the, but if we're charging for events, then, Subsplash wants their hand in on it. But other than that, I think from my discussion with them, if I recall correctly, if we're not charging, we can register how many people want to come and meals and all that other stuff and right through the app.
But then the scholarship banquet, there is a charging component to it. And that was one of the things that I think that the scholarship ministry really needed to have a little bit better control over collecting those dollars. And then there's two different prices. With the free one, we can only have one price, or, from what you just say, we can't even do that. But I thought right now we can do the charge, but it can only be one price. When we go to Subsplash One, we have multiple prices for the tickets.
Oh, multiple prices, tiered. Yeah. Okay. I have to look a little bit deeper into it, but yeah, it looks like a very good, very useful tool.
It is.
We need to really check it out.
But the cost factor, yeah. But anyway, that's just one of the things. But again, if these plans would include, it should be all inclusive in terms of something that a layperson can look at and read and make an informed decision. be confident that they know what they need to know about this technology, where it is in the church, and how the church uses it, and how the church can move forward with it, and when is the time to upgrade. That's what we're hoping to communicate. And we've been having the same conversations over and over about it. And sometimes when we have the same conversation from month to month, we say something different about the same piece. So we just, that kind of stuff there. Anyway, and there's a lot more. If y'all can think of anything else, any other technologies, by all means, shoot them to me and I'll put them on the list here. And I'll be talking to some of my cohorts around the nation about who's done well with communicating to upper management in terms of these things and informing upper management. Hey, what can go on this plan? What can go into this plan? That's effective. Deacon Jordan, you yourself, Sister Trap, I know, Deacon James, Sister Miller, all of you all, Pastor, add to that list of what should go into this plan. And then, persons who make the decisions, ask them, what do you want to know? What will help you to make your decisions? And then answering some of those questions, build those into the part. Okay, new business. Universal Church, just to give you an update, as you all know, there were 2 photographers that came out, was here Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Jennifer was the more bubbly person, the senior person, and Victoria. Jennifer trained Victoria, and that's why they paired them together as a team. But there was a great difference in the quality in their photo, in their eye. It was a big difference. To the tune that there were several families, including mine, that complained about our pictures that were done by Victoria. And so what we ended up doing, I talked to Dan about that. Dan Theroux, he's a project manager that handled our account. And he indicated, he got with upper management and came back to call me a little bit before Bible study and indicated that they will give us another free day of photo shooting for retakes and for families who didn't get an opportunity to come in and get their photo done. There were several that had to cancel because of, sick loved ones, or they just couldn't get everybody together. Their schedules just wouldn't allow. We don't know when that day would be or if we actually going to have another day, but I want to talk to those families. Now, I don't know how to really safely identify those families because I don't want to put a blanket statement out to the church because everybody will probably. So we're really only talking about those we're really talking about those who had bad photography. I mean, you may have had a bad hair day. That's not what we're talking about here. I mean, that's, I know some of us are bad hair day proof. We can't have a bad hair day. But, if we look at the quality of pictures, I was with uh, Brother George Granderson when he was taking his photos, and George was making some funny faces. He thought he was smiling, but he really wasn't. He was frowning, eyes was bucked, and she snapped the photo. I mean, no. And then presented that photo as a choice for him to choose. She did that with some others, and I got several calls. So those are the kinds of things we're talking about.
Yeah, we had the same issue where she had Tony bend over and she took the picture and he just looked like he was hunchback. And we were like, why did she take the picture like that?
Okay, so you all had
Well, we
Victoria.
don't need to retake them. We're good.
Okay, okay. And then some of the families said that they had enough choices where they didn't choose those. But my God, what would you have? What options would you have had if those were, better shots? And the company he stated this morning that we probably need to train her a little bit more, put her back through training. She's from Howell, Michigan, and so she was, an obvious choice for us. Yesterday, they only sent the one photographer, but he had someone on a Zoom call that was managing the sales, and he did everything in the computer room. When you got through with your photo, you walked over to the table and made your selections. it seemed to go a lot smoother, although we had 24 people signed up for yesterday, 26 people signed up for yesterday. We could only get about 12 or 13 of them out. And he actually stayed till 8:30 for one brother to come in from Dearborn Heights. He said, no problem. I'll be right here. And I think the brother only you chose the picture that goes in the direct because he was in there and out of there in no time. This gentleman who was here yesterday, his name was Scott. He's been doing this for 37 years, so he's an old pro at it. I wish
Uh,
we had him.
quick question. How
Yes, sir.
long, so we had 14 come through yesterday. Did we have
Oh,
a large number of people complain about their shots that we need to reschedule?
not a large number so far. I just haven't heard from everybody because some people might say, "Hey, this is what it is." That's the only choice I had. I got a call initially, and I wasn't going to look into it at all, but I got a call Friday evening. Young lady indicated she said she just didn't like the picture she chose, and she had already made it home. And Sister Homa, she had already made it home and asked me to go in and take a look at the photo just to get another pair of eyes on the photo. And the two pictures that she was presented with, one of them, her left eye was completely closed, and the other one, you can't see her eyes because of the glare. Those were the only two she had. So, uh, you know, she reluctantly chose the one with both eyes seemingly open, but um, and I talked to her today. She said, I want to have them redone. She just was totally not happy at all with that. I was
Well,
looking away at all my photos.
let me thank you for managing the process, Reverend, and making sure that we got quality. Because I know a lot of people purchased packages and purchasing a package that was less than ideal. And I also applaud them making it right.
Yes.
But let's get these folks in here and get it,
Okay.
taken
Yeah.
care of. Because I saw her attitude, and I
Mm,
shouldn't say that because it sounds like I'm being sexist or something, but she was not friendly from the giddy up. And I was here and we helped them move the equipment in the building, Arthur and I think yourself,
yes.
and you could see that she was not as plugged in
Right.
socially and listening like the other young lady was. And so
Right.
it's unfortunate that that happened, but I appreciate you and them working to make it right.
Again, another option, Pastor and team, is that the people can go to a different church and get their photos done. The guy who was there last night, he's in Clinton Township today, up near Roseville. It's a bit of a drive, but he said, "Hey, come on in." So wherever they are, there's one family that's going to do their photos on the 28th of July. So there are options to get this done, and if we had our own quote unquote studio in a sense, we could do some takes and then send those in with the families. But and it's not didn't cost much. It doesn't cost much to set up a studio to get the equipment. Okay,
Yeah,
and that's
and not money. It doesn't cost a whole lot of money, but
that's true.
this cost
Yeah,
can be
yeah,
a lot.
yes, yes, yes. Deacon Jordan, in terms of your question, I did ask him. I got to give him all your seating numbers, so he can combine all those seatings into one CD for you all.
Amen.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
'Cause
Thank you.
yeah, I just got to get him all the numbers. Canon copier. Oh, let me just share this because Pastor, you may not know, Sister Trap, you may not be aware. They offered a CD, and that CD includes every photo that was snapped in your session. Whether you had one family in your session or multiple families in your session, all those goes on one CD, and that was $280. They did not offer that across the board.
No, no, she didn't offer that to us at all.
We didn't know about it.
Yeah, In fact, Deacon Jordan, he took advantage of it in 2017. I wasn't aware of it. So anyway, the Canon copier, um, about a month ago, in fact, I just answered a call from Canon. He's going to call me back about 3 o'clock. Uh, we have been using too much toner, they say. Uh, they have shipped us 46 toner cartridges, and it should have only been half. This is a 5-year lease, a 60-month lease, and we have about 15 months remaining. The contract state that they would supply the toner. They monitor it remotely, and they automatically ship it. I don't ever have to order toner. It just comes in. And he didn't say that we were putting too much toner on the paper for the amount of copies that we were using. So I'm not sure why we're getting this call at this point.
Because it's getting close to time to upgrade the lease. That's why. But with the new um, uh, bulletin format, perhaps we can answer that. I don't. Sister Miller can help me with what I'm trying to say. I'm sorry, y'all.
Somebody was just knocking at the door. Okay,
I'm sorry, somebody's in my office, so you have to handle it on your own, Pastor. Sorry.
So
We changed the format of the bulletin so that it's not as many pages printed every Sunday, and it's not as many pages printed in color. So we've cut it down to, what is it, 2 pages now, and everything. There's QR code for all the other stuff that's online. So that's that should help us some. And I apologize if I seem inattentive. I'm engaging with Sister Carolyn Crawford about this funeral Friday.
oh, okay, not a problem, not a problem. And so they haven't. I'm not sure what the conversation is going to be about in a few minutes here. I'll certainly update us on that. It may be something totally different. But yeah, one dot of color, non-black ink or toner is considered a whole color page. One dot. So, but again, he didn't say that it was just the color cartridges that was too much. He just said too much. So it could be the black and white. And the black toner cartridge is twice the capacity. It's a lot heavier because it's twice the capacity of the color components, the color copies. Anyway, scanner for Pastor. It has been ordered. I got a delivery date, uh, 12, sorry, June the 20th through the 22nd. It's a Canon um, scanner, and all it does is scan. I don't know if I don't think there's a flatbed involved. It's just a feeder, from what I could tell. So,
How
and
does it connect?
Pastor, that's a good question. Probably USB, but I'm hoping it's networkable. But yeah, probably USB. Uh, the printer for the treasurer, again, it's just there's no problem with her printer at this point. It's a workhorse. It's one of those older HP workhorses. And since we are no longer using off-brand toner cartridges, there have been no problems. The problem is that the toner costs about $400 to $500 every time we order toner, and we could buy a printer for that amount of money, and a lot cheaper in toner. Um, and that's the reason we want to. It's just not efficient in terms of the cost. If we look at the toner usage over a year, we're talking $1,500, just for toner. And so we'll get that. She has a supply of toner right now, so when she's close to the end of that, we'll order. And she's beyond the heavy printing season because the year-end stuff is all done. Item 5 here, viewing numbers for YouTube and Facebook. Pastor, asked the question, I guess from the last trustee meeting. It almost seemed like it was last night, Pastor, but I knew it was the night before.
Yeah, and I've already I appreciate you working on them and pulling them together. I've already sent Sister Williams the in-person numbers. We needed this information.
Okay.
So Brother Brown provided us with information based upon the different phases of the pandemic. So
Okay.
maybe I should forward it to you
Okay.
in case you're able to pull it by time frame.
Okay.
I don't
Sounds
know.
good. Okay. Yeah, that would, yes, anything would help. So, yes. I have the numbers for YouTube. Getting them for Facebook, they've changed their interface. I just got to work through Facebook a little bit more to find out. I'm in the insight area, but I'm not able to change the time component. I know you said,
If you can't get them, YouTube is fine, because I
okay.
think we have more on YouTube than Facebook, but I know it's varied at times.
Yeah, we have about 6 to 10 on, we average about 6 to 10 on Facebook. I can reach out to those who are regulars on Facebook because they can see the number right away and just ask about how many. Okay. Yeah, I got surgery coming up on my right ear, and that's on the 3rd. I've got another surgery that's going to have to be done. I'm not sure when that one's going to be done yet because they haven't scheduled it. So um, just trying to keep everything as much as possible in working order. So, as best can. Having to make some adjustments to make ends meet at this point. Go ahead, Pastor. You're muted.
It was Deacon Jordan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just on your surgery, how long do you think you'll be out of pocket, and what do you need us to do to support you?
When I had the initial surgery done, it was outpatient, and they sent me home, and I was down, as I remember, for just a few days. And I don't have a problem. Gotta have my right eardrum repaired. Apparently, the bone that was put in protruded through the eardrum, and that's been problematic over the years. Uh, the doctors don't like it, and my family says, "Dad, if you can stand it, let it go." But it's increasingly getting worse, and it's causing problems in my throat on that side and in my right nostril. So, um, take a
Well,
step. I expect to be back on my feet, and this is July 3rd, probably by week's end, or you know, by the weekend. Now that's a Monday.
I know usually on Monday you prepare to upload the live stream to
Yeah,
CTV, CTN, whatever. So again, just reach out. Let us know if you need some help.
sure.
All right.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any other concerns, issues?
And we are praying with you, Doc, for
Appreciate it.
sure. I have it on my calendar.
Thank you.
We'll surely be praying for you, Reverend Jones, that
Yes,
all
sir.
goes well.
Thank you. Thank you.
We all need that.
Amen. We know how these things can go. Sometimes issues come up that are totally unrelated. But anyway, it's an outpatient deal, and I'll be in and out. And Pastor, I'll talk to you in person, about the other procedure.
Okay,
All right.
gotcha.
Next meeting is July 12th, 1:15. That's the second Wednesday of next month. That being all, Pastor, if you don't mind leading us out in
All
prayer.
right, glad to. Let's pray together. Father in heaven, how we thank you for this team of dedicated professionals who sacrifice so much to make all of the ministry pieces work. God, even now, We pray for Reverend Jones that you will give him relief, God, and that the surgery will be successful. We ask for your blessing upon his life as he dedicates so much time, energy, and effort to make ministry work. God, as we're praying, we also remember the Crawford and Smith families and ask you, God, to comfort them in their hour of loss. And we thank you for these who have made time to make things work for your glory and our good. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. And let us keep Brother Jesse Foley
Amen.
in prayer as well.
Amen. Amen.
Brother Jesse Foley, he's part of this team. Just, keep him in our prayers.
Yes.
Amen.
God bless. Have a good day, everybody.
God bless.
Bye.
Bye.